Last of the South African students who've been stranded in Cuba are finally said to be on their way home. More than 400 students were supposed to fly back to South Africa on Friday, but many were sent away by officials and told to return late on Sunday. The students allege that they were not paid their stipends and were pretty much left to fend for themselves. The health department now promises to pay their outstanding stipends within 2 weeks of returning home. Meanwhile, the Junior Doctors Association of South Africa's Dr. Tsepile says these students are returning traumatized. He speaks to us now. Tsepile, these students have been through so much. Why did things go so horribly wrong?
Good morning. Good morning to the viewers. It's a problem that seems to evade clear answers. Well, we don't seem to be getting clear answers. What we've been told is that the reason behind all of this is the COVID-19 pandemic preventing them from coming back, and then another reason is that for the stipends not being paid is because of diplomatic issues and issues with transferring money to Cuba. But obviously, I'm not too happy about that. We're not too happy about that. We feel that, better attempts should have been made to prevent the living experiences that they had to go through in Cuba.
Why do some of these doctors go to Cuba in the first place? Explain that to us. And then, has this ever happened before where there's been so much difficulty in getting them to survive decently while they're overseas?
Yeah, so this program is called the Nelson Mandela Fidel Castro program, which allows prospective doctors from poor backgrounds the opportunity to study medicine on a bursary in Cuba. What usually happens is that they'll be there for 6 years. The first year of study will be them learning Spanish. Thereafter, the 5 years will be their medical training. After that, they'll come back to South Africa and be integrated into one of the universities here, and then they will then go into the internship and community service and then go on and be doctors. There've been a lot of challenges with the Nelson Mandela Fidel Castro program, with already the medical students there having a lot of issues, being away from home, not being allowed to come back, being in a different country with a different societal system. As far as I know, this challenge of not being able to come back for as long as they've not been able to come back has not happened before. But yeah, the program itself does not go without challenges.
How have they been surviving over the past few months?
It's very, very sad. So firstly, they've been living in dorm rooms, sharing or a single room amongst 8 people, at least about 8 people. If you've seen the pictures, they're very unlivable conditions. In order to make money, they've been selling personal belongings in order to get hygiene supplies and food and stuff like that. And many of them, by the time they boarded their planes or the rest of their remaining there, they basically left with nothing.
So when you're living in those conditions, how do you even tend to the thing that you're there to do, which is study medicine and further your education? How has that been affected?
I mean, as I'm sure you can imagine, that makes it very complicated. But at least for them, they were done with their studies. They were just waiting to come back to South Africa so that they can be integrated into the South African half of their studies. But I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen going into the integration. Already coming back to South Africa, there's a lot of challenges that they have to deal with. But now with this amount of trauma that they've experienced, it's going to be a very challenging time.
Dr. Tsepile, thank you so much for joining us. It's a heart-wrenching story to see some of our young, bright students suffering in this way. We'll bring you more on the status of that final chapter flight as the story develops.